It is a pretty nice morning out. I just came from having a short flight on the paramotor. I was hoping it'd be a longer flight, but thermals were starting to kick up and conditions weren't so great as much as I would hope they would be. Anyway, the purpose of this flight is to go out and do some testing on some audio changes. Hopefully I'll have a video with which to edit and see if my audio changes have worked out, and we'll see how this goes. But meanwhile, I'm going to get up in the air and talk to you then.
Number 6 Delta Romeo, runway 27, line up and wait for traffic rolling out downfield.
Line up and wait 27, Mooney 16 Delta Romeo.
Mooney 16 Delta Romeo, on course is approved, multiple aircraft in the right traffic pattern, runway 27, clear for takeoff.
Clear for takeoff, right turn northbound, we have traffic ahead of us in sight, Mooney 16 Delta Romeo.
Career check 462, runway 27, clear for the option.
Clear for the option, runway 27, career check 462.
Alright, power's full. Engine instruments are good, airspeed's a lot.
Runway 27, clear for the option number 2, following the archer ahead.
Rotate.
27, clear for the option number 2, A Hotel Hotel.
Positive brake, you're up. mph, flaps up. Alright everybody, I'm out flying around doing my audio test. This is actually V2 of the audio test. I went and flew this past weekend with my wife Holly. We took off, went up to Albion, Michigan, just for some cheap fuel and to run the test. But it didn't go so well. So let me go back a little bit and let you know all the things that I've changed and found. One of the first things was there were some random crackles and pops and things like that I was a little bit of a mystery, and then I realized that the airplane had sat for almost 2 years. Anytime that happens, you know, there's potential of oxidation. That kind of just dawned on me, so I got out the contact cleaner, sprayed all the connections where the headphone jacks and microphone jacks and such go in, and swabbed all those out. I made sure those were nice and clean, and that solved all those problems. Then, I mentioned in a video before that the biggest problem I had was overdriving the amplifier in the GoPro. It's recording the audio, which means it's clipping, so there's higher frequency parts of the signal saturate the amp, and those get clipped, so then when they go through the filter, it creates a distortion, kind of like a distorted guitar, and it sounds kind of bad. So it was the weirdest thing. So I have this thing here, which is like a little attenuator that goes between my intercom connection here, this little line that comes up, and that plugs into the GoPro. And I had that thing dialed way back, and it was still clipping, and I could not figure it out. And finally, I did a little bit of research and found out that there are various microphone input settings within the GoPro that you can set. And as it turns out, the default setting was standard mic plus 20 dB gain. And a plus 20 dB gain is a lot, so that explains that. So what I did is I changed that for last week to standard mic, and I actually did some ground tests. I did some ground tests in my hangar with all the different mic input settings, and standard mic without the 20 dB gain seemed to work pretty well, and I wasn't really able to overdrive that. So we did the audio test last week with that. The problem was that setting uses audio compression internally by the GoPro, and that sounded like crap. When talking was going on or when the radio was going on, it sounded just fine. The problem with the audio compression is anytime there's silence in the microphone, it amplifies, it like brings the volume up and up and up. So if you have some kind of background noise, like for example, this airplane has a little bit of coupling from the alternator into the intercom, that takes that coupling and just amplifies it up to this loud, annoying level. And now, while I could fix that in editing and just kind of clip that out, and I tried fixing some of that in editing, but it was hard. It was hard to do. It's something I don't want to do all the time. And if you don't get the edit just right, if you're like on the up ramp as it's bringing in the volume from the compression, it just sounds really funny with the edit. So I decided to try a different setting, which is the line-in setting, which supposedly does not have a gain on it at all and does not have audio compression. So we're going to give that a shot today. So it seems like I'm trying to fix all these problems. The one thing I want to point out is I'm not going to be able to make the audio perfect in this thing. It is an airplane, and it's a 60-year-old airplane. It's not a recording studio. One of the things you'll notice is there's like when I'm talking, there's a constant hiss in the background, which is different than if the radio is on. Let me just give you an example with the radio on.
Howell, Livingston County, Spencer J. Hardy Airport. Automated weather observation 1513 Zulu West.
So you notice when I did that, it was quite clear there was no background hiss, and when I undid that audio channel, it just stopped. Whereas when I'm talking, you'll notice there's a hiss that continues for a second or two after I've stopped talking before the squelch cuts it out. So listen for this. There it goes. So that hiss is because of the background noise that the microphone is picking up, because, you know, it's the airplane, there's a propeller going off, there's wind noise over the airframe. It's not perfectly silent. And there's not a whole lot I can do to get rid of that. But what I can try to do is reduce it. So when I was editing audio test number 1, I was experimenting with post-processing the audio through some filters, some stock filters, some filters of my own design. And since that noise is fairly white in spectrum, it's really impossible to completely get rid of it. However, it could be reduced. And I was able to reduce it to almost nothing, but then my voice sounded like it was going through the, you know, speaker at a fast food restaurant. I'm not talking about modern speakers. I'm talking about like from the 80s, that really just awful audio quality. And what I'll do is right here, let me give you an example of what that was. I'll post-process it like that. So here I am going through the drive-through at McDonald's. This is what I'm talking about in terms of that audio, which is completely different than my voice going through a much better reproduction without filtering, which you'll hear right now. So, however, I was able to slightly reduce that and make it a little less harsh. I found a stock filter, which is the RAIA standard voice filter, and that gets rid of that hiss a little bit. You know, it's still there. And if you didn't have anything to compare it to, maybe you wouldn't really notice much difference, but it is different. So I'm going to try post-processing the audio for this video, and if it works, then future videos through that filter. After I get the final edit, I will take the intercom audio, process it through that filter, and then re-add it back into the video as the audio track. So we'll see how that goes. But as I said, you know, I'm trying to improve it, but this being an old airplane, it's not going to be perfect. Old airplanes, you know, they definitely have less noise deadening than newer airplanes, and, you know, it's nothing that this is to do with the Mooney. You know, I used to own a 1971 172L, and that airplane was definitely way noisier than the, you know, the late 70s 172Ms that I flew for various clubs and flight schools that I flew or instructed for back then. While I'm trying to improve the audio is not going to be perfect. And after all, this is frugal Mooney, and that I like to spend a whole shit ton of money Mooney trying to make things perfect. So I'm going to do as good as I can for my constraints, especially considering that I don't monetize these videos. I don't make any money off them. I really don't plan to, so you get what you get. That should be enough audio for me to give this a try and put it through an edit. So with that in mind, I'm going to start heading back towards Willow Run. But since there's a lot of traffic to the south of me, the southeast in my direction, I'm going to do a loop around to the right and head straight east. Willow Run Tower, Mooney 16 Delta Romeo, 10 to the northwest, full stop with Tango.
Number 16 Delta Romeo, Willow Run Tower, enter right downwind runway 27.
Right downwind for 27, Mooney 16 Delta Romeo.
Number 6 Delta Romeo, you'll follow a diamond coming off the departure end of runway 27, now entering the right crosswind.
Alright, look for the traffic, Mooney 16 Delta Romeo. And Mooney 16 Delta Romeo has a diamond in sight.
Number 16 Delta Romeo, thanks, runway 27, clear to land, you're number 3 behind them.
Clear to land, number 327, Mooney 16 Delta Romeo.
Yeah. Number 7 Echo Echo, runway 27, clear for the option.
7 clear for the option, 7 Echo Echo.
pumps on undercarriage. Down lots. Props full forward, mixture good. Props full forward, seat belts, all switches are good. Undercarriage down.
Number 8 Hotel Hotel, runway 27, clear for the option. Number 2, follow Mooney, short final.
27, clear for the option. Number 2, 8 Hotel Hotel. Following the Mooney.
November 16 Delta Romeo, turn left taxiway Golf 3, contact ground, 1997.
Left and Golf 3 over to ground, Mooney 16 Delta Romeo. Alright, that's going to be it for today. Hopefully we got enough good audio to edit and make into a video, and hopefully, if it all works, I have some improved audio, at least to a little less harsh sound. That will be good for future videos. But in the meantime, talk to everyone later.